Nana Kwame Bediako of the new force seeking to be president of Ghana on the 7th of January 2025. He's been going around the country. He's been talking about his industrialization plan, and I'm sure there are many of you who've been asking questions. Some of you have taken to social media, Facebook, Twitter. You've asked questions about the dredging of the sea and its feasibility. You say, are we serious in this country? Well, he's in studio with us and would ask all these questions on your behalf. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Winston. Thank you.
How's it going?
Well, it's good. I mean, the last time we had a very short interview, so it feels a continuation. So.
Exactly. I mean, this certainly is. The last time we didn't have a song, now we have a song. You can't stop freedom, eh?
Well, yeah, I thought it was very interesting. It's actually one of the songs that was made by one of my security, and that works for me. So he just did it for me, and I thought, wow, this is great. The words and the content of the music is quite powerful, because I really think that the only one that can stop me is God, and He gave me life, and He can take that away. So that kind of resonated very well with me.
So I know you've been going around. I mean, the last time you were talking about, you had indicated you wanted to be president. Now we know you've been going around the country, not just granting interviews, you've been engaging the various stakeholders. How's the whole listening tour and your tour around the country been?
Well, first of all, I wanted to do something completely different from what the existing geopolies have been doing, when it comes to campaigning. And of course, in the business world, campaign simply means to us marketing, how to market yourself to the people to understand you. And I thought that one of the best things to start with was to tour around the 16 region as a listening tour and listen to the people. And of course, that was some sort of incredible adventure. And, I would have probably not known a lot than I do now if I didn't make that move. So I thought it was a great decision to have taken. The regions are quite different, and it clearly tells you what Ghana is and what Ghana is going through and what Ghana can become.
Let's look at what you heard from the people. You say if you didn't back on the store, you didn't have known the things you know now. What is it that you know? What did the people tell you?
Well, the main reason for the tour, one, was to research the regions, to see their capacity, their ability. But before we embarked on that journey, we had already done the research about the regions' value in terms of what they have in minerals and commodities, farming and resources. And it was quite a lot, hefty amount of money. So I personally also wanted to find out, why are these things not being materialized and implemented to create wealth and jobs for Ghanaians, and why are we going through what we're going through. So I already had some serious research to do, when I went on that journey. But then when I got there and I started to listen to people, I realized that almost every region had a little bit different culture, but almost every region had one need. Almost all of them, and that was jobs. But before I went, I also realized that if I could make Ghana a better place, it's because I'm able to activate. The only region that I see that is more active in the country is Accra. The rest is just closed, it's doomed. Maybe some 1 or 2 or 3 multinational companies will be there, but they don't actually have an economy. They don't live like Accra people are living. And even Accra, you have people coming from Nsawam traveling all the way because they're searching for fortunes in Accra. So it's kind of choked and overpacked. But being in these regions, some of the things that I realized was that every region that we went to, going to Tamale was the first time, I got to understand that why before we landed on the plane, I saw like bare land. It was empty, but part of it was looking brown like dry grass, but part of it was black patches in it. And I didn't see where the black patches were coming from. I wanted to know what had happened. But when I finally landed and was driving around, whilst I was there, I got the inspiration of water bodies are not connected, and so the climate is just heat. In fact, the inspiration became more and more when I got to Boliga, and that was like the wind was blowing but with heat, and I haven't seen anything like that. It was like you're standing in some kind of factory with a machine that is bringing a lot of heat, and there's wind also blowing at the same time. And I was wondering, what are these people going to do 7 years from now? Because it's going to get worse. And climate control is something that we need. Navrongo, and then after we were supposed to go to Upper East. Yes, after we were supposed to go to Upper West, which is Wa and Savannah, but because of the fasting, we had to postpone those two regions, and then we went to Goso.
Okay, we'll talk about the whole idea about water and everything, but you talked about the regions being, apart from Accra, the others are doomed. When you say they are doomed, what do you mean?
They don't have any economy. They don't have
not even in the Ashanti region.
Ashanti region, come on, it's all. If you look at what comes out of Ashanti region and you look at the lifestyle, it's like 5% of it or 10% of it. I went to the market in Ashanti region, and most women, they were putting their clothes on the floor for me to walk on. It was so touching to see people even looking at a young man like me, and they said, "Look, we want change. We've been sitting in the sun for 8 years. Look at my skin." And there is a market there. They've never opened it for us. They can't expand us. They can't help us. People are struggling in Ghana, Winston. It's difficult for people. Look, there's a young guy that asked me a question when I was in Tamale. And when he was coming on stage, they were trying to stop him because he's like 13 years old. And, but I said, let him come. So he came. And then he spoke in his language, and someone had to translate it. In his own words, he said that he goes to school, but he's scared. He's scared because he doesn't think he will get the best of education, and then if he does, he doesn't think he will get a job. This is a 13-year-old thinking this way. So you should know that if that kind of age that hasn't come of age yet to see what life is about are thinking this way, then the country is really gone down. There's a whole lot of issue. And Tamale is dry. You can almost count some of the buildings there, and with silver sheets, and it's going to bring more heat into the room. You barely see electricity there. On the way to Boliga, there was only one water I saw, and I thought, okay, I've seen water, and it was brown, it was poisoned, it was galamsey, it was destroyed, So I think you have to go to these places and really see how the people, what are they looking for, what are they doing with themselves, and you're going to realize that the only time they harvest their cocoa is when maybe there is political campaigns. That's when people go around and give them t-shirts and give them some money, so it's not developed. And this is a reality. We have to be realistic with this reality, that what are we going to do to make our people's lives become better? And I can definitely see that if there were even 4 or 5 plants in this place, and there is some sort of logistics, there is going to be a great economy circulating. But I met a lot of chiefs, queens and kings, and one of them told me that sometimes people have to come and surround the palace. He has to help them with chop money. If I can bring jobs, he will kiss me, basically, because he's the king, and he feels for the people. But we as a country, we haven't been able to build these regions. In fact, I saw a factory in Goso, and I saw timber logs, like the things I used to see in Kumasi, but I don't know, I'm sure they've cut all the wood, So I was seeing it in Goso, and I thought that was so old school to carry logs on the track, because I hadn't seen it in a while. But I saw a plywood factory. And I'm a builder, I'm a developer, so I buy a lot of plywood. It's like 200 and something cities for one. But the factory was there, meaning that a lot of plywood was coming from there. So I quickly did research, and I realized that it belonged to some outsider who has just come to put it there and creating the plywood there. So he might have created jobs for maybe 100 or 200 people, but he's extracting millions of dollars from the land, and it's not to our benefit. So these are the things that I believe that the idea of industrialization would change the country completely, would create jobs, would create revenue, and then economic stability, economic balance, economic prosperity. We will start to have a national booming economy.
Let's look at your idea of industrialization. You've talked about the need. You've talked about everywhere you've been. Looks like the same thing being talked about, jobs. And so For you, you see that a way of dealing with that would be industrialization. What's your idea of industrialization?
My idea of industrialization is simply making sure that you refine, you manufacture, you produce around it, so you can open the doors for cross-border trade movements in terms of importation. Now, China is doing it, India is doing it, America is doing it, Europe is doing it. Everybody and every country that is successful in the world, you have to make sure that your resources are refined, are manufactured, they are packaged to that level of business where you can trade them, so other countries' monies can come into your country. Other people can start to bring their money constantly into your country, and that is how that's how economy revolves and evolves. It grows that way. Besides that, what you're going to see is that you would be able to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, and these jobs are not like 1-year contracts, because when you talk about plants, they can work for 50 years non-stop, 24 hours. Okay, all you need is to feed it with energy. So when you look at Africa is the last continent on this planet Earth that doesn't have any clue about industrialization. We always go for the tertiary parts. Okay, our clothes come from somewhere. When it's done, we might do the cotton, but we will not be the one doing the textiles and the clothes. Okay, we might plant the cocoa, but we will not be the one doing the chocolate, the marks and the twists, but yet we buy it again. And the people of this country, I took this moment to explain the vision that I have to expand transportation and logistics. My vision, it's just industrialization. How to industrialize the entire country. The 16 regions of this country needs to be industrialized to pump and boost our existence.
But this is the other point of it. We talked about one district, one factory. We've been talking about industrialization in Ghana for God knows how long. For those we even manufacture in this country, they complain about how it's very expensive to produce, and thus would have to sell to people very high prices, and so in effect they are not competitive. How are you going to make the Ghanaian producer, manufacturer, industrialist competitive globally?
Well, the first thing about industrialization is tariffs. The tariffs of the kilowatts that the machines are struck. Doing so, we definitely need to think about the logistics. Kumasi is a very well situated region with a lot of resources in minerals and farming and many other things. And I thought that since it's connected to the eastern and the western corridor, the coal, different things all coming together and helping to push that industrial power, because it needs energy. And energy is the beginning of development. Soon as we found light in this world by Thomas Edison and J.P. Morgan, okay, everyone's eye lit up, it opened. The likes of Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, Tony Blair, there was his name, Henry Ford, all of these people, they started to industrialize their product. At that time, Rockefeller had found oil, but they could only produce kerosene, for light, for flames. But as soon as we found energy as AC, they started moving forward with it. The industry was growing, and we are not taking this serious. I mean, we are selling to our people about 15 to 17 tariff, 17 cents a kilowatt. But nobody's going to come to your country to industrialize. But we have gas that we're flaring some. We don't want to build the gas pipelines. We don't want to
build the gas pipelines.
Oh, please, you don't call that. Go to Dubai, go to Abu Dhabi. They have 1,500 kilometers of multiple gas pipelines. When people turn on their taps, when people turn on their computer, their internet, everything, they are the main force and the gas supply to Dubai. So every time people turn on things in Dubai, they get some residual income, and that is a huge industrial construction. This mentality is what Africans need to adopt and stop depending on the Western world. That's the point I'm trying to make. We depending on the Western world and taking our money and going to China and America and going to buy their things that they came to take from us and come back and resell it in our country. I'm sorry, it does not make sense. Until Africans decide of learning how to industrialize their own product, I'm sorry, we will be enslaved forever enslaved by the Western. It doesn't matter whoever you're taking those products from, whoever you're going to for help, that person will forever use you. I don't know if you know about people borrowing money from bank. They become like a slave to the bank. When they tell them do this, they do it. Sit down, they sit down. Don't do this thing. So if we want to have that habit of going out there and keep borrowing money and saying that we're going to build our economy with it and create jobs with borrowed money, please.
You're not going to borrow money?
But I'm not saying that you're not going to borrow money. Where
are you going to get the money
from? You have to have a purpose. First of all, I think you need to create wealth and stop thinking that you borrowing money is what is going to...
How do you create that wealth?
Well, that is what I've just told you, Winston. When you turn your own products, when you turn your own minerals into products, package, learn it, get the skill set, the ability, the know-how, the knowledge, and start to export, start to distribute, start to do that. Every time you're distributing people's demand based on the supply they're asking you, that is revenue, that is cash, that is how you're building wealth. That's when you start thinking. It's not when you go and borrow money to give it to a contractor to fix roads, when you borrow money to go and try and build a low-income housing and it's not integrated. That person who's living there doesn't have a job around the house that you have built. In fact, you might not even finish building the house and you're not going to have the people to rent the house because they don't have the consistent job to do so.
Okay. My guest is Nana Kwame Bediako. Many of you call him Freedom Jacob Caesar or Cheddar, but he prefers to be known as Nana Kwame Bediako of the New Force, seeking to be president of Ghana. Now, you've talked about having to create wealth. You've talked about all these things. We need to, refine. We need to manufacture. We need to produce. But all of these will start also. You need funds to produce. Where would you get these funds from?
I think that's the question Africans have been asking themselves. Where would you get these funds from? Where would you get these funds from? Because we're just used to aid. We're just used to people giving us. You create wealth within your circles. So if I look at our system today, we have about 21 institutional markets or companies or governmental institutions that can really let whatever revenue circulate. If we say we have a GDP of 75 billion, we should be able to tap into 10% of that. It's national income. So it's the people, how they are using the resources and the funds of the country. If you don't have a great mentality and knowledge about investment, I'm sorry, you will squander the money, you will burn it, and you will always go out there and beg for money. See, one of the reasons why rich people don't just give money to people, I'll tell you why. They just look at you and they can see you will squander it. So they just give you a drop, and that drop is what you deserve, and you can work 24 hours for it. But don't ask the rich man how he made his money, because he's never going to give you the full template and tell you that this is exactly what you do to make money A to Z. No, you just need to know how to manage money, how to maintain these resources, how to invest, and you need to supervise and monitor the investment and see its returns. I'm living in a country where a lot of people are taking money from the state resources, and then they have a lot of paperwork around it that to prove that yes, the money is gone, but the returns of the money, no one is taking the responsibility for it. So we have become a liability to our own resources, our own funds, and however it went, we don't know. If we just keep having borrowed money going up, and today, whatever money that we owe, it's almost close to our GDP. Now, I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but if you can't borrow more than 50 billion, more than 100 billion based on your own reserves, then when are you going to get the money to even pay your loan, pay those debts? Because right now, I think this country needs to tax the nation and use whatever taxes that they're getting to go and pay interest.
Tax which nations?
I'm saying that some of our taxes, like, the returns is going on interest of money we've borrowed. What the same tax money can help our disabled people, it can help some investment, it can help some of our roads, it can help. It's about thinking.
Okay, now let's look at where we are currently. This is what is facing us. This is a country that has a deficit of beyond 50 billion Ghana cedis. You're talking about raising some 170 billion by GRA, raising some 170 billion. But you're looking at spending.
I didn't say 170
No,
billion.
no,
Where did you get figures
no,
from?
I'm giving you.
Are these your figures?
I'm giving you figures from the budget.
Yeah,
The budget.
okay.
This is Ghana. I mean, when I'm done, you would understand why.
Okay.
I'm giving you these figures.
Yeah.
To actually ask my next question. So this is your reality. You plan to raise 170 billion. You plan to spend in excess of 220 billion. It means you have a deficit. Now, your capital budget, capital expenditure budget, is even, I mean, it's less than 50 billion. This is the country where interest payments, payment of salaries, take basically all your money. So you say tap into this, tap into that. Somebody says tap is very broad. How is Nana Kwame Bediako going to make sure that he's able to get whatever he needs? In the past, we've been promised a Ghana beyond aid, and this is where we are. How different is it? They say, show me how you intend to do these things you talk about.
Well, I mean, before I answer your question, I would just like you to confirm something. You talked about big figures, 180 billion, deficits of 50 billion, this, that. But you said one thing. What you said is that money is consumed by what? Workers. They pay them with it, right?
Interest payments, yes.
Interest payment. So definitely we don't have the right mind, and we're not in the right mind frame to control our resources, because it's being absorbed from one side. If you're talking of all these big figures and then it's just going to workers, what are the workers doing?
Interest payments.
Well, interest payment, fine.
Government transfers.
Well, I understand all of that, but you mentioned two things. Interest, let's take it even if it's three. But let's start with the two you're saying. Paying salaries and paying interest. What is the interest that we're paying and the salaries that we're paying? That contribution of those two things, what is it bringing in returns? Because that is the equation of business. Your business, your life, your work, everything you're doing, the investment have to bring returns.
Yes.
So where is the returns? That's the question that you need to ask yourself.
So I ask you the next question. How are you going to ensure these bring returns? But that's something we'll explore when we return after these messages. This morning we're joined by Nana Kwame Bediako of the New Force. We'll also talk about this whole conversation about, do I say canal or do I say taking seed to other parts of the country? Stay with us. Yield returns. How are you going to ensure that these monies, you see, they should bring returns? What returns are you expecting? How do you achieve these?
Well, it's just the level of investment. I mean, one of my major paths in terms of business is investment and development. When you're into these things, you take supervision very serious. Okay, monitoring the path, the grounds where your investment has gone, and then you look at your ADRs, the returns. You don't look at the cost of things. You look at what you get out of the cost that is going out. So if you borrow money to build a building, it's very dangerous. The interest and everything can come back and swallow the entire project if you're not on time, if you don't do certain things. Okay, now the workers have to be paid, but whatever work that you're doing, the benefits has to be times 100 or 1,000 of what you're getting back. So if our money is just going into salaries and is going into interest, then something big is wrong, that we need to look at that. How am I going to do that? First of all, I think we would readjust these things first of all, and to be able to start moving money into investment instead of judgment debts, instead of paying stuff. So you worry about the stuff more than the nation being built or the country being developed. Okay, because now your commitment is to them. You want to borrow money and you want to pay them, but you're not checking what comes out. That we call accountability. Somebody needs to be responsible to account for whatever state funds that is going out there in terms of investment and everything. Now, this same money that is being shredded on many things that we have a good reasons why it's been spent, but the returns is bad reasons why the money is gone and it's not coming back, can just be diverted into right things. It costs us just 20-30 million to put a plant, and that could create thousands of jobs. But we're not doing. We're rather putting the 30 million into some supposed to be contract of roads and this and that, and yet all our roads still have potholes and all of that. So I just think as a country, we need to stop all of that. We need to concentrate with what we do with cash, what we do with investment, and how we get the returns. And then when the returns are coming in, you see growth. When you're seeing growth, you sort of get this power of maturity. You can see it. It's like profit. Profit is sanity. Anything else is vanity. People only do business because they see profit. And people wake up every morning to do things because of the profit that is going to come out. And I'm sure you're working, maybe 21 days out of the 30 days because you have budgeted your monthly expenses or expenditure based on what you're going to get at the end of the month. So you've programmed your life around it. And as a country, we should do the same. We should program the country's development and its national needs based on the returns that we're getting in whatever resources that we have, state resources. All of this is not about finding out that, we have the resources, but somebody is taking 90% and we're getting 10%, but we don't even know what that 10% is going into and what benefits that they're coming from. Look, these states are not for these resources are not for government, it's for the state. It's for the state as a country for us to benefit from. So I don't think I can leave Ghana and go to China, and if they have some mineral, I go and sit with the government and try and do some business and say I'm going to take 90% when I come and put any factory in your country or any plant. That is not going to happen. It's not going to happen anywhere in the world. So I think accountability, it's become the problem, and people are not responsible for being accountable. And 4 years is a very short time to let people account for things that they're supposed to do, especially when they're developing a country. But then again, that is the years that is stipulated for our constitution, and we have to find a way to work around it to make the nation benefit from.
Great. So you've talked about all of these things. Now let's make it very simple. You've gone around the country. You've identified industrialization as the way to go. If I were to ask you...
Sorry, let me correct you. Point of correction. It's not because I've gone around the country, that's why I've identified. I have been talking about industrialization for the past 13 years in this country. I already have Petronia, a platform in the western part of Ghana, which is an industrial development. In there, it's a 2,000 acre industrial city. So it's not yesterday or just me coming into this political industry that has made me realize we need industrialization. I knew this years back, over a decade.
Great. For many people, they would ask themselves, so if I decided to vote for Nana Kwame Bediako, what are some of the key projects that he would want to embark on? What are some of the key projects that we would see if we were to vote for you?
Well, first of all, I don't want to say that you have to vote for me before you see me embarking on some key projects that will make this country benefit. I've already started doing a lot of projects in the private sector. As you can already see, we have built hotels, we have built industrial parks, and we're still ongoing building the industrial park in the western part of Ghana. We've built some zoos, we're doing museums, But if you were to ask me, what are some of the key industrial projects that I will embark on for the country to benefit? One of them could be just maybe a methanol, and making sure that we start creating our own petrochemicals, which is something that Petronia is doing. Petrochemicals are things that you can use to actually create fertilizers, so you don't have to import them again, because farming has a lot of potential. That same petrochemicals will do things like bitumen, so you can now expand your roads. That same petrochemicals will help you to advance your power station, where you're going to get more energy and be able to bring the tariffs down from 16-17 cents to about 10 cents and make it become globally and friendly, attractive to investors in the world to want to come and be on your free zone enclave, to enjoy your incentives. But they're going to expand your industrial power and production, so these are the things that I'm thinking, the major projects. Now, what happens when you do such things? Overnight, you're creating millions of jobs and you're bringing millions of investment. But this investment will not only be stacked in your country for the next 50 years, it's also going to leave your nation with a skill set, which is one thing that we're lacking. Okay, we don't know what to do with cocoa seed if you gave it to us. We know how to eat the chocolate, but we simply don't know what to do with the cocoa seed, and it's on our land. We don't know the value of gold, but people are mining it. We have to do mining of through galamsey and sell it on the black market. Okay, but gold does a lot of things. You can purge your entire currency with it. So some of the major projects I will be doing, apart from industrial, I would also create a lot of reserves. The reserves of the mineral resources that we have, and gold is one of the things. I've been talking about purging our currency against gold for more than 10 years, because that's what gives you a stable currency, and it gets rid of fluctuation, inflation, and all that shin that happens in our economy. Okay, today, if you look, I think Zimbabwe, since I started saying this, they're one of the people, they've quickly hedged their currency to the gold. They're creating a coin. When I came with Freedom Coin trying to help the country, it's not like I want to take anything from the country. I want to contribute to the country. So there is a great success for the youth, for the people, for women, for men, for old people. It's me as a citizen. I'm adding a value. I'm adding some sort of idea, some great vision that could help whatever that it is. I think maybe the youth have not been taken serious in the past few decades. I believe that the youth are also, they have the ears on the ground. They know what is happening in the world. They have energy and they're ready to work. And so we have to be able to tap into that human resource. See, mineral resource and human resource is a powerful combination of things that we came to meet on this earth, and we're going to leave it, and it would always evolve. The human beings will evolve and the minerals will evolve. I don't see why. We have the sea, and in the sea you find oil in there. We have the grounds, and in the ground you find gold. We have the soil. In the soil provides the best of food. We have bauxite. We have iron ore, where you find the steel in the ground somewhere. But we haven't learned about any of these things, how you can turn it around. So that skill set is what I intend to do. This is what I intend to do, not just for Ghanaians, but I think it will become a template that a lot of African countries will be saved by. They will be saved by because the economy will start to boom. The economy will be revamped. Their ways of thinking and doing things will stop from that tertiary. They will start going to building things from primary, secondary, and then start to benefit from the tertiary aspect. Right now we just depend on tertiary stuff, made in Italy, made in China, made in this, and that's what we're living on. And somebody is definitely controlling us, because whatever money that we have, we're giving it to that somebody who is doing it, and we can do it.
Talking about, just on a lighter note, because you talk about a lot of the things you're doing, but some would say many of you also contribute to the made in Italy, made in other things, because you're not patronizing the things we are made in Ghana too.
It's not that. It's the size of how it's made. We brought us back to industrialization. Yes. Again. If you don't have industrial power and somebody is producing like the clothes you're wearing, and they can barely produce 100 in a day, how are they going to feed the market? We won't even be able to see it. Okay, but if they can cut this pattern, and it's 2,000 of it, it's 10,000 of it, I will go to England and I will go to a shop, and there will be Versace here and there will be Akimolo here. Because he'll be selling, and you need Versace's power. It's not the Versace. Versace's power is being able to cut the pattern 600,000 times in a space of 2 days, create demand for it, supply it, and take their profit. Because even if their profit is $100 per jeans, what happens when they release the 600,000 is 600,000 times 100, which is 60 million. So they make that in a go. That means they have a footprint in the market. Without the industrial power, you cannot have someone who is cutting 10 pairs of shoes and he's complaining that you're not patronizing it. You watch, and if tomorrow they market that person and there's demand for them to even produce 1,000, they will close. they will close because there's no industrial power to be able to create.
Yeah, but we must create those persons.
Sorry?
All of us, we must create those kind of people in Ghana.
Well, if that's exactly what, if you're saying that, then you're agreeing with what I'm saying.
But the point I'm making is that in creating, it starts from us. Okay, so I mean, I like to wear made in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says, Cheddar, you look very good, but you don't like wearing made in Ghana.
Oh, who said so? I have a lot of clothes made in Ghana. I'm a very average person, but I'm also not going to say I will only eat or I will only touch things made in Ghana. No, that is craziness. Okay,
that's craziness.
Yes, that's craziness because there are things all over the world. You cannot tell me this microphone is made in Ghana. You probably bought it to put it here. This TVs and everything.
That are made in Ghana,
I'm just trying to tell you this. Everything in this place is not made in Ghana. So you cannot survive with just made in Ghana. That's what I meant by it's crazy when you think like that. The world is a universal place. Everything that becomes a part or a contribution to support your daily living, your habits, your demands, it's something that you're going to go with. If Ghanaians are making speakers, microphones and TVs and it's affordable, I would rather buy it from Ghana. But if Ghanaians can make the TVs, they can only repair it when it's bought, but they can't make the TVs. I have to buy it from Europe.
If they can make clothes?
If they can make clothes, I buy some from Ghana, I buy some from Europe. And that's not a crime. I have the right. It's my money. If I want to spend some to buy Ghanaian clothes and to buy American clothes, it's up to me. But the point I'm trying to make is that if Ghanaian clothes is materialized, manufactured in a massive way, in a huge production, then there will be a demand for it worldwide. So you would be here and you will be selling to 8 countries or 12 countries, which is what they are doing. They are industrializing that cotton that they turn into textile, into yard, and then into textile, and then into that coton that they've created as clothes. And then after they've marketed it business wise, they've distributed, like what you were doing, me sitting here and you were reading for somebody's something generator. That's marketing. That person is using me and you at this point when we're sitting here, he's trying to market his product. So it's the same thing. If you can do that massive production and market it, then the world would be buying your things. It's not you maybe sitting here and thinking that, oh, I'm not wearing a jacket that is made in Ghana, so no. I patronize Ghanaian stuff, but they don't have the capacity. They don't have the capacity. You know, I would want something from a tailor and they say, I can give it to you in 3 days, and they probably bring it in 2 weeks. I can't blame them. He's now using one machine trying to, he doesn't even have the stock. That's why I am preaching that industrialization is the way. When you go to China and somebody has a small factory and a big factory and a small office, and you ask them, I want tiles, the guy will charge you maybe $5 a square meter, and he will give you 2 weeks, and he knows the capacity of the machine, the plant. So in 2 weeks, he's going to produce you 10,000 square meters, and you will pay 10,000 by $5 to him, which is $50,000. If it cost him 25,000, he's made 25,000 off you. That's his profit.
And now, Kwame Bediako, so I mean, finally on this bit, before we get to, how you intend to boost trade also, because you've talked about, they don't have the capacity. They don't have the capacity. If they had it
today,
I'm coming. It's a very simple question.
No. I'm asking you, Winston. Okay. Do you think Ghanaians have capacity to produce, to meet the demands when they have to supply?
You want to answer that?
No, I'm asking you. Do you think they do?
I don't answer questions. I ask them.
Oh, you don't?
No, I ask them.
Okay.
After the show, I'd answer you. In here, I asked the question.
Well, I think you're doing your job.
Yeah. So let me ask you the question now, because you've identified all these things. You've talked about what you've been doing, but saying we would give them capacity is one thing. Saying would reduce tariffs is another. Beyond these, what are you going to do for these areas that you've identified would need help in industrializing and in boosting the growth of this country?
Let's just take maybe the fashion industry, for instance. If we Ghanaians decided to now take cotton and turn it to textile, yard first, and then turn it to textile, there would be a template of how clothes are made once the design is formulated and the pattern is created. And then one t-shirt or one club t-shirt or one pants that is needed as a tracksuit or whatever, Coca-Cola advert or Emirates advert for Arsenal, this, that. It can be produced in Ghana, nobody will know, but the world will be buying it. Because some of the things you're seeing with footballers and everything, the t-shirts and Puma and all of that is produced in China and India.
We have textile producing companies. For textiles, we have Akosombo textiles in this country.
Yes, we do. Look at the growth of it. We had glass. We had a glass factory in Nkrumah days. But has it grown? It's rather run down because of accountability, and that's what we were talking about. You see, monitoring and supervision is very important for your business, especially when the investment and the development belongs to you. When you feel responsible for it, you become a CEO for that, and a certified executive officer for something that doesn't really belong to you, but now you start to feel like it belongs to you, which is what I think Ghana needs now. Ghana is thinking that they need politicians to build their dream and give them jobs. No, Ghanaians just need a leader who has a mindset of a CEO, a certified executive officer who will be responsible for the country's investment, the country's funds, state funds, and how it's going to grow, how the GDP will grow, and how the economy will become stable so people can benefit from it and create economic stability, prosperity, and a balance. A fair equation.
Here's a question for you. You may see his Dubai examples are far-fetched comparisons or inspiration at all, including that such are rich oil countries. People must listen to some of the stuff he projects. Oil was 18% of their GDP only 2 decades ago, and now it is only 1.2% of their GDP, with services, especially tourism, leading. Dubai grew its GDP from $11 billion to $101 billion 1995 to 2015. They've been deliberate and executing development to a plan. That desolate place has a green revolution to induce the rain they lack. I was shocked to do over an hour's speed drive from Abu Dhabi city into the desert and seeing irrigated trees from start to the end of that drive.
So basically he's just saying what I'm saying in not a question, but it's an essay, trying to tell me a little bit of his ideology and
he also
knowledge.
Says he wants to hear some of the things because some of these are far-fetched, he says.
Yeah, but you're looking at someone saying that they had 18% of their national resources, was 18% of their national GDP, and then after 2 decades it became 1.8%, which means they're running out of the resources.
Which also means other sectors have taken over.
Let me just finish. I thought you said you don't ask questions. Relax.
No, I don't answer questions.
You don't. So you don't answer questions. So relax, and let me answer it, and then you can ask. Okay. So what he said now is that when the resources went from 18% to 1.2%, they had already built other opportunities out of that 18%. So when it came to 1.2%, they had already generated 11 to 110, which means they had times the actual beginning of their GDP, which was 11 billion, to 110. That is already times 10. So if this has come from 18 to 1.8, equationally and fractionally, they have quadrupled the money. They have quadrupled the GDP. They have quadrupled everything. So at that time, they will have maybe more than 20 different things to invest in and to supervise and to manage. So if they run out of these resources, they are going to have other avenues for revenues that they would have created from discovering the resources. And that's the accountability we're talking about, the returns of investment, the returns of what you have. So if Dubai didn't discover that oil and realize that, look, this is what we're going to make our billions from, our trillions from, and this is what we're going to use to turn our vision around. Today they might not have a simple drop of oil, but Dubai has become the tourist center of the world. The investment has been right. And I think instead of complaining, we can copy. It's not a crime.
Okay, well, let's move on to one thing. Initially, initially started in Kumasi. I watched you with Kojo Mafu.
I did a lot of interviews.
Yeah, but I watched it with Kojo Mafu. So I've mentioned the, the interviewer's name where you're talking about the sea in Kumasi. Then I saw you talking about one in Techiman too.
Mm-hmm.
What's this whole thing about taking seed to other parts of the country?
Well, first of all, I think when I started this journey, I knew that I was going to become one of the biggest industrialists in history in Africa. And I knew that my opportunity was not to make money. My opportunity was to change economies and build nations and have a template, a blueprint that other countries will benefit from. See, that's where I see myself to be. I see myself to be one of the people to be talked about in the next 500 years. I know people don't like to hear this fact, but that's how confident I am in who I am and what I can do and what I'm capable of doing. So I definitely knew that industrialization would need logistics, and logistics would bring a different type of development because it's a change and a shift of infrastructure. I was definitely looking at the waters for a long time. I was definitely looking at the map of the country and checking the waters. Now, I'm going to reveal the secret in this interview. The question that you should be asking me is, why Kumasi? I chose Kumasi to start the topic of water transportation because the Ashanti region historically is very sensitive about water. Our first king was warned not to cross the river, and when he did, he was beheaded, and he never came back. The head was also never back. Okay, we tried to claim the Cape Coast water when we realized that a part of our people were there, the Ashantis who have become infantis, slanging the tree. But based on regional demarcation, we couldn't claim it. Kwame Nkrumah did the first biggest man-made lake in Ghana or in Africa, or maybe one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah.
When he got to the Ashanti border, it ended there. At that time, there was no region like Bono region. It was the Ashanti region, taking over all of those places. It left it there. So the water didn't connect. When you look at Kumasi, it is situated in the middle of Eastern and Western corridor, but it can't feed any of these corridors. And then Accra and Kumasi are like the competitive cities, but one has outshined and outgrown one. That's Kumasi. Why? It's because of water. So I chose that place to raise the topic, and it's very sensitive, and that's why it went viral. And I know that a lot of the media and people are trying to coin what I'm saying, but the reality is that it's a fact and it's the truth. Canals exist, dredging exists, and the sea connects with river, and it opens a country.
Yes.
So I just chose Kumasi to start the topic. Now, go ahead, you understand? Let me
So
know
yes, so that exists. That's not in doubt. It's in the literature. We've traveled out to other countries and we've seen them. We've also read about how long it took them. We've also read about even the feasibility studies that they did to look at whether this could be done or not. And for many people, their concern really is this canal you talk about. Have you, beyond saying, I will do this, what other things have you done? What other pre-feasibility studies or whatever studies have you conducted to know, for instance, whether it's achievable or not?
It is achievable, first of all, and I would like to rest assure you that, let's not be like the old slaves who always thought that you can't do anything unless the master comes. If the master says it will be done, we will say yes. If the master says it won't be done, then we can't do it. No, it's very much possible. Okay, 1 is the investment, 2 is the development, 3 is the architects and the engineers that will construct that, and they will study all the maps. See, the water bodies are already there. They exist. Okay, you're dredging to connect them. Now, I'm going to give you this analysis, and not just you, for those who are listening to me. When you can Google and check all the highways in Europe and all the developed countries, when you're driving on the highways, you don't see buildings and anything on the side of the highways. You either see some sort of fencing and some kind of glass, but the neighborhoods are inside. So you're just driving on the highway, and it's 3 highways. on the side. When you come to Africa, all the settlements are right on the roadsides, and the road shrinks and it becomes smaller, and the water bodies are left, and we're either throwing rubbish in it or we don't do anything with it. Go to these same countries that have put the fence. Go and find their water bodies. That's where they start their development from. They connect the water because the water, first of all, controls your climate. The water is the power that would irrigate your agricultural system. It will feed the grounds where you live, and then that's the same water you create the bridges on it. So you can see Brooklyn Bridge, this bridge, that bridge, it's all over water, and it connects other city. It reduces the actual kilometers that you need to go around the country. So it's another source. I saw this in England when I was growing up. It's called the Blackwall Tunnel, and then you go through the tunnel, it's water, but they create tunnel, and then you just come on the surface of the earth. When you drive another 10 minutes, you get to London Bridge. There's Tower Bridge and there's London Bridge. All of that is the Thames, is water. It connects and it takes you all the way to Trafalgar Square, and you start to see development, tourism, all of that. That is the future of Ghana's development. We are going to discover all new developments everywhere we connect the water, because it's free lands. It hasn't been touched. It's all virgin. That is one. Two, we're going to start to use it for logistics, transportation. It gives us the power to connect to Africa and to connect to the sea, and to be able to now take things to harbors and build inland harbors and all of that. So distribution becomes easier, and this will stop us from using one single road for articulator, petrol tanker, Uber, small car, private car, trotro, van, all of that on one road, and beside it is so many things with people selling jams and this and resettlement. That is chaos. That's not how you build a country. So I want Ghanaians to understand that I'm here to build a country. My vision is very clear. It's like 2020. It's COVID, and you have to be aware. That's how clear my vision is. I can see that development is going to happen this way, because you need to connect your waters. Why do you think your colonial master is hiding that secret from you? But when you go to his country, he's connected all his waters. He calls them Thames, canals, ferry, Woolwich, this, and secretly he's transporting things on there.
Okay. Just by way of clarification, because in Kumasi we're talking about sea. Is it a canal you want, or is the sea you're talking about?
Well, if you drill and connect a sea to any river, the name for it, which will be a jargon in construction and development, will be canal.
So it's a canal we're talking about.
Canal. Now, canal can have any sort of river, lagoon, sea, whatever that it is. And look, when you go to Ada, the water in Ada shares border right with the sea. Right there. The opportunity is we could have created a harbor there if there was already industrialization in those areas.
So just a way of another clarification. You say this is something you intend to do. You say the engineers, the architects will do it. Do I get the point that it's just a thought you have?
It's not a thought. It's
just something you want to do, but it's something that has not gone through the processes now.
No, I mean, you guys make it look like it's unaffordable, it's unadmittable, it's unacceptable, and it cannot be done.
It's a long-term
Listen,
thing.
no, it's not. Actually, I'll tell you. Look, a vision without action is a mere dream. You and the dreamer, there's no difference. That's what a visionary, if you have vision and you can't find a way to activate the vision, if you don't apply action, it's useless vision. It can't be done. Okay? Mm-hmm. Once you decide to do it, it gets done. Now, why do I have the confidence to say so? Because I've done things. I have raised the first 16-floor building in a place where they started building 1 floor, 2 floors, 1 floor, 2 floors. I came and I went, shoo, and I put 2 floors underneath it on 1.5 plot. I put 108 apartments. Well, you know what? I actually used some Portuguese and some Italian engineers and everything. It was a dream, then it became a vision, then it became a reality. So it's not like I am talking out of my mouth without facts, and it's not like I'm willing to do something out of my strength without experience. I have had the two. I have done things that I know this looks bigger, and it is bigger, But once you have tested and realized that it's possible, doing it is no more a problem. The question that I'm asking myself is that there might be someone who is a minister for natural resources and blah, 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 and lands. But maybe that person haven't actually put together architects, engineers, and people to create something of his own, to see the experience, the feasibility, the possibility of doing that. I have. So I know that it's possible. And it's not like I'm also just saying I've studied it. I looked at River Oti and River Pra. River Pra goes straight into the Cape Coast water, and it's right in Kumasi. It's never been connected. Okay, I looked at the Volta Lake. The Volta Lake goes all the way to all the BA borders, the Bono region, all of that. It's connected to Kumasi. I looked at River Tunnel, and I only studied River Tunnel when I was doing the tour, because I saw the plywood and I realized that Sefiwe also had a lot of cocoa. But I was thinking, how are they transporting this? Then I realized that the River Tunnel is there. The River Tunnel goes all the way to the border of Ivory Coast. It actually shares border with the sea. So it's just a matter of dredging these things. Ghana needs to be connected with water. And I know that, I am sharing a lot of my vision on media platforms, and some of them are conniving because some of them are in the pockets of other politicians and all of that. But I know that people are doubting this. People are thinking it's impossible and this and that. That is just because they've been diffused by whatever political promises. This is purposes, is a reality, is a vision, is very much possible, and we haven't done it. There's only one leader who started to try and send us a message with water, and that was Kwame Nkrumah, by creating the Volta Lake. After, what did we do with it? Nothing. We never connected it. Tamale, I checked Tamale when I was there. The heat, I need to connect the water there. I'm definitely going to dredge just a little bit more to get this same Volta Lake into Tamale. And then we can start transporting goods. We can start doing a lot of things. Immigration, infrastructure, it's all of that. They're very close, all the waters. But your colonial master would never tell you this secret. He would never want you to know. So you need to go back and study how he built his country.
Right. So this is your vision.
This is my vision, and I think that this is a vision
if given the chance, then you start the feasibility studies.
No, feasibility studies are done when you're ready to do a project. Okay.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. If given the chance.
Yeah. Don't expect me to go and do feasibility now as a civilian to come and give it to Ghana.
I'm saying, if given the chance, you do the feasibility.
Given the chance, there's no such thing as giving the chance. There's no such thing as giving power. Power is taken. And I think the youth of Africa are ready to take power. We are not sitting there anymore.
You're standing elections.
Please, I want to finish. I think you're interrupting. I think that we as the new youth in Africa, you can see it for yourself. We have realized that enough of this foolishness where we just sit down and then our leaders just cut deals with some white people from somewhere we don't know. They just wear blue suits and white shirts. They come to our country, and before you know, a whole concession of lithium gone, a whole concession of gold gone, a whole oil in the sea is gone, and we're struggling. We are the new leaders, generational leaders, and we are saying that power is not given, it's taken, and that's what we're working towards. And once power is taken, of course, I don't need permission from Ghanaians to love them. I love them because this is where I belong. They can choose to hate me, they can choose not to like me, but whatever I would do.
Power is taking how?
Well, you want everything as a detailed template.
Yes, because you're standing for elections. You want to be giving power.
But just saying that power is not given, power is taken, it's a simple thing that you should figure out. I think that you have gone beyond asking questions, Winston. I think now you're looking for templates. You're not even looking for answers anymore. You want a full detailed template. It's not smart to do so with these questions. I think we're going to lose time going deeper into how power is taken. But you're seeing it, you're witnessing it, and it's happening. You've seen it in Senegal, you've seen it in other African countries. You've seen what we have done in just 4 months. We started this new force in November 7th. We are sometime in April. And we can tell you 70% or 80% of this country has found out about New Force. They might not know my face, but they know about New Force. They might not know Freedom, but they know about NKB or Nana Kwame Bediako. And that's just the work.
Nana Kwame Bediako, thank you very much for joining us. We wish you all the best in the next leg of your tour.
Thank you very much. I just want to say to Ghana that my next tour is the 275 constituency tour. It's the district tour. I would be going to every district in this country. I would give my life and put my life down, my time, and I will visit all of these districts, because now I have found the problems with the regions. Now I'm coming to the district. I want to connect with average Ghanaian. I have started the movement that I believe that the future of this country and the future of this continent would depend on this blueprint that I'm creating today. And that it's all started because we're concerned about the average Ghanaian's life and their future. And definitely, I just want to thank God for giving me this wisdom, this knowledge, this grace, this power to be able to do so. Now, I know everybody has a question for me. I'm ready to give you as much answers as I can. But please, don't look so much at the messenger. Please, listen to the message, because I'm here to fulfill whatever that I'm talking about with you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. This is the Super Morning Show. We'll be right back.